You're quick to switch back to the flannel. You know, in Bali, you were rocking the Hawaiian shirts. Now the flannel. I respect how quickly you just like adapt to your location.
I'm going to be honest, though. I like locations where I can always be rocking the flannel.
Sure, that makes sense.
Yep.
No, that doesn't make sense. What are you talking about?
Hello and welcome to the Untranslatable Podcast. Today we are recording episode 178, and today we are talking about some of the best jobs that could allow you to travel. This episode is for you if you are sick of the rat race, the 9-to-5 game, and thinking, I need a change of place and a change of pace. What jobs can I find? So Jared and I are going to give you some tips and tricks today, and I'm looking forward to hearing what Jared has to say. So without further ado, my co-host Jared, what's going on, Jared?
Hi, Chad. You know, speaking of change of pace, I would like to start this episode off with an apology to you. I was driving here today. It's a lovely day outside, and I saw a man in a full, sort of tight onesie suit, helmet on, speeding down the street leading to your neighborhood here. Mm-hmm. Tell everyone what your address is so they can look it up on Google just to help. And
867-5309.
there was some guy got that number for cheap, and they're probably like, oh, damn it. And I saw a guy riding his bike on the main road with cars flying by him, and I was like, that guy is an idiot. But that doesn't mean we can't ride our bikes, but I like to apologize to you. If you grew up living here and you see idiots doing this in winter, then yeah, you might think biking's dumb. I get it. And also, please, everyone, spread a little love.
That's right.
Chad's let me back into his house for now. It's very nice to be here. Looks like soon the untranslatable hour is going to go off in about 7 minutes. Set your clock 6, excuse me. But first, for now, follow us on Instagram, Untranslatable Podcast. Twitter, Untranslatable1, the number 1. You can give us 5-star reviews. Actually,
Пожалуйста.
please give us 5-star reviews. Do you have something to say?
Nope.
Oh, okay.
Nope. I was about to do the 5-star review, but it's a little different vibe now that we're sitting next to each other.
You can still do it.
That's true. Too late now. But anyways, definitely 5-star reviews on iTunes and Stitcher. Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Пожалуйста.
Last episode, we talked about ways to get you. Well, I'm always trying to get you more involved in this podcast. For those of you that don't know, outside of when Chad and I sit here and record this, he has, I would say, just about no idea what happens behind the sines.
Basically, yeah.
So I'm always trying to, find
Keeps
ways.
it fresh that way,
No. So I'm always trying to. Said no one has ever said that. I'm always trying to find ways to keep you involved, and I thought, how about we read a book? Oh, well, I thought, how about you read a book? And then somehow I got dragged into this. So
Poor Jared.
I got the book.
Nice.
And I figured I'd present it to you here.
Ooh, I'm excited.
I've started. It's called. Tell the people what it's called, please.
It is called Vagabonding, an uncommon guide.
My there's a bookmark on that one.
Oh,
I've already started a little bit.
Ooh, started early. Okay, all right. I see how it is, Jared. Anyways,
it's not
Vagabonding. That's true. An uncommon guide to the art of long-term world travel by Rolf Potts, with more than 100,000 copies sold. Also, apparently, this is a crucial reference for any budget wanderer, according to Time. So there you go. I'm going to give it a quick little skim. Tell me about what you've read so far, buddy.
So far, what I've seen is he's explained sort of the difference between being a traveler and a vagabonder, and how.
So what's the difference?
How you have to reset your mindset, essentially. Okay. So reset how you think about travel. So it's like what he was talking about is like you don't work to travel, you travel. Like work is something you have to do, but you don't reward work with travel. Work is a necessity to continue on your travel. Like it's like you think of it as of more of a lifestyle shift rather than, it's not even about how can I save up enough money to travel for a living. He's saying that don't even think about it that way, because no matter what you do, as long as you have some sort of stable job, you can do it. You just have to completely shift your mindset. He also was talking about already how you have to be willing to quit a job. Have you ever quit a job before?
Not quit, but I have lost a job.
Does it count? I guess I've left a job. I left a job. Is that quit? I guess that's quitting.
That's quitting.
I gave a 2-week notice and said I would.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna. Okay. Then yeah, I did.
Why did you do that?
Well, I mean, I've left a job over like a summer job that I've had.
Okay.
But I mean, I quit that, I guess, because they didn't. But that was like in between college. But like the first real job I quit was my first job out of college, and I just didn't. I didn't really like it, you know. And I found something that I like better. And I'd already found it. I'd already done all the interviewing and stuff, and knew that I had an offer. And then I was like, yeah, I'm going to try something new.
Nothing wrong with that.
And so, it was amicable. It wasn't like my boss was an asshole and I had to get out of there or something. It's just like wasn't what I wanted to do.
Yeah, that's
you
fair.
keep saying move on up.
It's true.
I made slightly more, yet I moved to Philadelphia, so really I didn't make any more money. It wasn't really a benefit financially like that.
But maybe life experience-wise.
For sure. For sure. I'm glad I got to live in Philadelphia for a bit.
Right.
But yeah, so that's just a little teaser on the book. I'm going to tell you, I don't think it's perfect.
Okay.
I have some...
well, I only read perfect books, Jared, so if it's not perfect, you can just...
I have some critiques, but we'll obviously save that for when we talk about it. So, Chad...
Well, I don't know, man. Over 100 pages, this is a lot, man. This is a lot. 211 pages to the acknowledgments.
Yeah, there's a lot of trust me, the pages can cut in half. It seems like a little bit.
All right, some early criticism. I like it.
But
all right, no more criticism, Jared.
No.
I want to try to read this without too much.
No. Today is March 1st, and we could shoot to talk about it beginning of April.
Sure.
Is that fair?
Sure.
Okay.
Just not on April 1st, because then I'll just have to April Fool's you.
Yeah, they won't take anything we say seriously.
That's right. That's true. That is true.
Because they do now. We're a serious news source, unlike on April 1st. It's kind of like when CNN does the New Year's show and Don Lemon gets hammered. And people just forget that he's apparently a news professional for an evening as he takes shots of tequila and gin.
That's one way to bring in the new year. That's
Do you want to spread a little love?
I actually have 2 shout-outs today. My first
I'm going to turn the headphones down a little bit if that's okay with you. I'm sorry.
That's okay. Is my voice too intense for you?
No, it was the drops.
Oh, gotcha.
Spread a little love.
Anyways, my one of 2 shout-outs today. First one goes to Lithuania. Not the Untranslatable Owl, but to Lithuania, because they have introduced a plastic deposit scheme, and within 2 years, they have had a 92% recycling rate.
That's pretty impressive.
Yep. So,
Chad, I have multiple Lithuanian untranslatables today.
Do you really?
I do, yeah.
Oh, cool. All
so
right.
there's a double shout out. Spread a little love.
So yeah, so shout out to Lithuania for making that big change and having so much recycle or success with their recycling. My next one goes out to Vietnam. I don't know if you've heard about this, Jared, but as of Wednesday, all 16 patients that were in Vietnam that had coronavirus have recovered.
Oh, good. I thought you were about to say...
All 16 have recovered.
Okay.
Now, so I think that's great. And some of that is due to Vietnam's really proactive, consistent response with the virus. And but the key here is, Jared, is that we don't know how long it's going to take until this virus is done. But I think Vietnam has been doing a lot in the right direction. So I think that's great. Lots of love to all the people in Vietnam.
Brilliant.
Fighting the coronavirus so well.
I wonder if it's hard for those people to reacclimate in their societies. Because everyone knows who it was, don't they? You know,
Probably.
like people talk. Everyone knows who the coronavirus people were in the neighborhood.
Right.
Where's freaking, I don't know, Vietnamese names? Where's Kristen been for the past 6 weeks?
When I tell people that I was in China, people give me looks.
Yeah, that's me. He's talking about me. Yep. I give him looks. You stay away from me.
Went to hug Jared, and he's like, "Ooh, get away from me."
Yeah, hold on. Let me put on my N99 mask.
Right. Let me just put on my hazmat suit. Good to go.
Very expensive, by the way, but worth it.
Yep. So yeah. Anyways, I think you know what time it is, Jared.
I do. Your freaking clock there jumped the gun.
It did. I guess our next episode, we'll just have to time it properly with the clock.
You know, sometimes, have you seen the movie, this is the Untranslatable Owl, guys. Have you seen the movie Office Space?
Mm-mm.
Okay.
Nope.
You know the scene where they're beating the
Yeah, of course.
the printers and stuff outside and the computers.
I've seen a clip of that.
That's what I imagine doing to that owl whenever I hear it interrupt our podcast.
Mama Cindy would not be happy with you, Jared.
Yeah, but think of all the views it would get, Mama Cindy. I'm trying to go viral. Hashtag. Anyway, that's the hashtag.
Hashtag anyway.
My first untranslatable is Burmese, and it's Kyar Kyar War Man Siwar Aro Kanye Shawin. Not Kanye, Kanye. Kanye probably is what it is. Teeth that might grind into old age must avoid chewing bones. Teeth that must, grind into old age must avoid chewing bones.
Can't let the little things bother you. Can't get stressed.
Yeah.
Laid back vibes, man.
Laid back vibes, man. I'd say think long term. Don't sabotage yourself in the short term, you know?
That's good advice.
Mm-hmm.
Solid.
And on that note, this is our last episode. No, I'm just kidding.
My next one for you is Spanish. And both of mine today are Spanish. And the first one is, Estoy como un sapo de letrina, which means...
Oh, I heard bathroom in there. Can you say it again, actually?
Estoy como un sapo de letrina.
To have something like a bathroom?
I am like a latrine frog.
I am like a latrine, like a bathroom frog.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, you got really bad poops? Bad poops?
Opposite of that, I would say.
You can't poop?
No, okay, no, not the opposite of that at all.
Good poops. Solid poops.
I mean, okay, so if you have solid poops, why do you have solid poops?
You have a good diet. Eating all your vegetables.
Here it has more to do with volume.
You eat a lot.
Or what do we say when we eat a lot?
Eat like a pig.
We say, I am...
Full. Stuffed.
Stuffed. There we go.
Wait, so what's the literal translation again?
I'm like a latrine frog.
And that means to be
frog.
Stuffed.
Now think about it. If your bathroom is not very cleanly, especially if it's an outhouse, what will you have there?
Frogs?
Flies.
Oh.
What do frogs eat? Flies.
Oh.
Brilliant.
Okay. That one lost me for a second, but I like
I always love the little stories behind it. They're always really fascinating.
I was like, do frogs like to eat bathroom stuff?
You never know.
My untranslatable, my next one is Lithuanian, as I mentioned. Shout out to them. And it goes Šaukštai po pietu. Spoon served after lunch.
So is this like it's too late? Time's up. Time's up. Over plow.
Yeah.
Snap back to reality. Oh.
There goes gravity.
Yeah. Okay. There you go. Nice.
Yeah. So that essentially just means like, hey, I'm already done eating there. Thanks for thinking about the fact that you forgot the spoons.
Right. That makes sense. All right. My last one for you today, Jared, is Spanish, and it is a huevo.
Well, that's eggs. An egg.
An egg. Yeah.
Like a nut. Your nuts. A nut. A testy. A testicle.
Not a testicle.
Okay.
I mean, they do use the term egg.
Oh, mi huevos.
So this is for example, an example here, Jared, is your boss gives you a raise, a huevo.
Like congratulations.
Like hell yeah.
Oh really?
Yeah. Apparently. Yep.
Okay.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like that.
Mm-hmm.
Huevo.
Mm-hmm.
Huevo. Okay, I like how it sounds though when you say it. It does make me want to do the Tiger Woods like.
Right. The fist pump.
Mm-hmm. I meant it made me want to go sleep with a lot of strangers.
That's fair too.
Speaking of sleeping with a lot of strangers, let's talk about some of the best jobs in the world that allow travel.
Mm-hmm.
So, the first thing that kind of the reason that I actually thought about this job, thought about this episode topic, was many months ago, I mentioned to you that IKEA was on the search for happiness hunters, as they called it. And what these happiness hunters were is they were two people that were hired to go to Denmark and figure out why Danish people were so happy from an outsider's perspective. So there was Roy from Chicago. I first didn't like Roy. He seemed a little weird. He grew on me, though. And then there was Yaya from Hong Kong. And Roy was unemployed. Yaya was a teacher. And Roy was maybe 41, too, something like that. Okay. Yaya was 29, I believe. And Yaya was lived with her parents, which is very common in China, especially in a place like Hong Kong, which is very expensive.
Mm-hmm. Definitely.
And the first thing I noticed that was kind of weird was it seemed like they introduced themselves and all that stuff, and then they went to their apartment that they were staying at in Denmark. Mm-hmm. They went to Denmark together.
How'd the apartment look?
I mean, it looked like
just a standard
bunch
flat?
of connected showrooms of
IKEA furniture. Okay, fair.
But it looked more lived in, a little more lived in.
Okay.
So like it wasn't as stuffy, it wasn't like a nice place.
There's like a little bit of soul and character in it.
It was small too. Yeah. Like it was probably like, I mean, not the size of this room. Not that means anything to anyone listening to this, but it was like. It was a pretty small apartment.
Would you give it a klein aber fein rating?
Sure, I'd give it a klein aber fein.
Yes.
And it was a 2-bedroom, and they lived together. But these people don't know each other. Roy's from Chicago. Yaya's from Hong Kong. I found that kind of weird. They were drinking at night every. I was like, this could be a proper
little romance.
Yeah, this could be a proper reality show if you let this go on a little longer, or boozed them up a little more.
Right. Okay.
Made it interesting. Yeah. Anyway, what they did was there were 6 episodes. And it was funny because there were Danish subtitles that you couldn't turn off.
Nice. You learned some new Danish while you were watching?
No, but I did notice some similarities between Danish and English. There are a lot of words or maybe German, I should say rather. Mm-hmm. There were some words I noticed that I was like, oh, when I see it written, that's like kind of like the German word or whatever. But I couldn't tell you what they were. So what they did with each episode, they hung out with a different group. And let's see if I can remember this off the top of my head, because I don't have it pulled up. I could pull it up quickly if I wanted to. But they hung out with hold on, let me just open it so I get this right, because I have it right here. So each episode was about anywhere from 5 to 8 minutes. Mm-hmm. And so the first episode was like an introduction. And so they introduced themselves.
Hunting for Danish happiness.
And they saw their new apartment. And by the way, they got paid a normal Danish wage for this, whatever that was. And they also got, a free place to live in. So I'm considering this a part-time.
That's pretty nice.
This is a job.
Yep.
That's why I'm talking about this. And we definitely could have done a better job than these people. They were fine, but they're a little too robotic.
Okay. Fair enough.
Actually, maybe more Yaya than Roy. But she was cool. She was cool. So anyway, introduced them, showed them the place. They talked a little bit about why they wanted to do this, what they wanted to learn. And then there was...
so what did they learn?
Well, then the next episode, and then each episode after that, they went to either a specific person's place or like to hang with a family or a group of people. Okay. And so the first one was they went to a student's place, and this a student that lived on a budget. And I found out that students there all get paid 5,000 krone a month. Just if you're a student, nice. And they have access to these cool little small apartment things, and they're kind of like,
really? Cool.
What do you call these things? Do you see them at like shipping containers?
Shipping containers, yeah.
And so they essentially have a shipping container that's turned into an apartment. And then the next one was this is a mother's club. And so actually, there's a club of newborn babies and mothers. Chad's looking at these babies playing games and laughing because I was gonna say he has a soul. That's why. And so what they said about this is that in Denmark, for women specifically, they have like after like 6 or 7 weeks, they have someone that comes to your house to check on you and make sure that everything's copacetic. That did not seem safe. And
that's fun though. What Jared's saying is they were spinning this baby around in this
and like a little like a
disc.
Yeah, and also they set them up. They said I gotta keep going.
Again.
They set them up. Because and they set them up in these groups.
Okay.
So these groups are like set up kind of through like agencies and whatnot to put mothers together. And I thought, oh, that must really help with things like postpartum depression. It also must help socialize the kids.
True.
It helps keep everyone, the kids and the parents, active.
Yep.
Gives them a group to go walking with.
Yep.
They go walking together and they go to
Friends.
different. Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. And yeah, you meet new people.
The Danish are onto some things here, Jared.
And then obviously their maternity leave is very good. It's essentially like a year long of mostly like most of your salary paid.
Yeah.
And they were talking about
a couple
how
years after that too, don't they? Not full salary, but
maybe I don't know.
I know Sweden does.
And they were talking about how the men, like they wouldn't be surprised if it would be close for the men because they think that dynamics are changing and everyone needs that same right. So they were talking about how they expect it to come soon. This is another family. They I believe they are of now I don't want to screw this up but I believe Pakistani descent.
Okay.
Or Indian. See, now I don't want to sound ignorant, but I really don't remember. I saw like all 6 of these like last night at like 10 o'clock. But anyway, there's 2 or 3 daughters, and then there's the mother. But they're all the daughters are from Denmark. The mother essentially grew up in Denmark from a very young age. But they just talked about how they like to do activities together and how important the family aspect is to them, and how they enjoy that in Denmark they feel very free to these girls that you see here they're Danish, grew up in Denmark, but they feel very attached to their home culture and very free to express it, and they love to be connected to it, even though they're Danish and they live in Denmark all their life. And they're talking about how important family is. That was kind of the theme of this one.
Nice.
The next one, this is a small family. A man and his girlfriend and their daughter live on this sailboat. And they live in very small confines, of course. But he talks about how he was just like trying to look for a way to escape more, and how he likes the freedom of it, and he kind of takes the joy of living essentially a minimalist lifestyle. He lives on a boat, so he enjoys
that's crazy
getting rid of stuff and just having the essentials. And he has a kid too,
right?
And so he also they all do activities together. So with the big family, they dance together. With the mothers group, they went to like one of these little kids activities.
Classes, yep.
With the student, they I guess they went bike riding. I don't remember what they did with the student. I'm gonna be honest with you. Anyway, and then there was this last one was a woman that was a minimalist. I found her on Instagram, and her name was Gilda Marie. It's a great name. And she enjoys a minimalist lifestyle. She's a vegan. All of her clothes, except for her underwear, are secondhand. I say this just because I looked at her Instagram and she made a point to say that all of her clothes are secondhand, and like everything in her house is secondhand essentially, or recycled somehow. Like this is them you see putting up. She just found that stick and she screwed it to her wall to make it a hanger or whatever. And so it was interesting. I thought it was cool, and if anything, I think it's great for these 2 people, Yaya and Roy. Our Hong Kong and Chicago are both from big cities.
Right.
I think what they really appreciated was these people's importance to like escape the normal, escape the hustle and bustle, and how they made a point to
experience life.
And prioritize.
Yeah.
And it was really all these people, I think, at least what I learned, I can't tell you what they learned. I guess I could if I paid closer attention. But they all, everyone in each episode prioritized a different thing. Some of them the same thing in different ways, like the mothers group and this the family. But these are both sort of prioritizing families in different ways, I would say. Actually, they're all kind of prioritizing families in different ways. But I think that's what I took to be most important. I found that very interesting. And IKEA, if you're going to do this again, hit us up. We have a very successful podcast. We're way more interesting. I'm getting Chad to do things like read books now, even though he already does that. But I'm working on him, people. I know he's the problem. I get it. But please have faith in us. Look how good he is once the cameras and mics are turned on. That's what really matters.
It's true.
We shine, IKEA.
That is true.
And I could use a new end table. my one in my room keeps scratching me whenever I reach for it. It's really, and I got it from Target, by the way. F Target, right? I know. All right. Let's talk about some other jobs, because that's a part-time job. That's not really a long-time job.
Let me ask you, Jared, do you think you would be happy living and working in Denmark?
Well, that's another thing that they mentioned, is that, obviously it's known that they pay a lot more in taxes than we do. Mm-hmm. But what Roy made a point to mention was he feels like he can really see where that money is going. Mm. So he enjoys seeing the use of the money. He enjoys...
Sure.
I mean... If I could have the job I wanted, I mean,
say you get hired for the job you want.
Then sure. Mm-hmm. I think I could. Okay. I would like to live abroad at some point, and Europe is a nice, easy place to go to for an American like me. It's a sort of a softer adjustment than, say, like when you move to China, or when you go to Singapore soon.
Right.
Those are bigger adjustments culturally, I would say. I think I would.
It's quite a bit different.
But I do think the financial input would be a hard thing to do, like, because it is like a sort of you do have to pay more taxes. Yeah. I think that would be hard to get used to.
True.
But I do like the idea of also they bike more. They're more active. That's another thing they mentioned.
I already missed that, and I've only been back here for a week.
Did you bike a lot when you were in China?
Walking.
Oh, yeah.
Getting around, not by using a car.
Yes. Mm-hmm. Yeah. I mean, even when I lived in Philly, I used my car to go to and from work, but other than that, I mean, in piano lessons, which was during the week, but other than that, I really never used it. I loved the freedom of just having it sit there all weekend and never having to drive.
It's nice.
And it added so much more freedom to your life, not having that responsibility. So,
true.
I like cars. I'm a car person, but I could definitely live a life where I didn't rely on my car daily, but I would still like to have one, Mm-hmm. And then maybe I could have something a little more fun, a little less practical, because I don't really need to rely on it for my daily lifestyle, right. But I still want it for whatever. All right, let's talk about some other jobs. Now, I did research and all this stuff, but then I also just perused the weird parts of my brain for some jobs that I thought
always fun.
I would want.
Oh, nice. Okay, cool.
Or jobs either I would want or jobs that I've just thought of. Jobs that I thought of. Jobs that I would want. Let's start with that. Air Marshal.
Oh, that would be cool.
Now that seems like a cool,
a little dangerous.
It is well, how is it really much more dangerous than being a normal normal person on a flight? Because
you're responsible as the air marshal.
Sure, yes.
You gonna fight some bad guys, Jared?
And I guess maybe they do seek out. Maybe I'm sure they have like data to sort of seek out the higher likelihood flights.
Probably.
They're not just randomly picking flights. Like they have data where
they can
be like.
Is there an air marshal on every flight?
No, I doubt it. I mean, Listen, I don't know, but
I have no idea.
I highly doubt it. There's no way there's enough air marshals to like. That math doesn't add up to me. I couldn't imagine that. But that seems like a fun job, and it seems like it's always sort of like in movies. It's sort of like a mythical job, or like or it's like, ooh, the air marshal is that guy. That guy looks sort of shady, or that woman looks like she can fight.
Right. Oh, is that the air marshal? Right.
So like that sort of that job always seems like fun. Do you have any jobs that you could think of? Feel free to inject, because I have a couple more. Yeah, of course.
Teacher.
Sure. What form of teaching would you like to be having you like what would be sort of your ideal teaching job to pull you away from the United States?
At a university.
Okay.
Not a ton of hours. Good students.
That's whatever Chad wants to do. That's going to be top of the list. Don't make me work too hard.
It's not too hard. It's too much.
Too much. Okay, that's fair. That's different.
Yeah.
In those hours that you're working, you can be working hard.
That's right. You better believe it. I don't know. I think teaching is a good option for a lot of people. And if you are a listener who is a native English speaker, there are a lot of opportunities in many different countries, either to go as a volunteer, where they pay for room and board, or to go and work.
Mm-hmm. Sure.
So good way to get some work experience, travel a little bit.
So kind of your Chinese job was an ideal job, is what you're saying.
Oh, I loved it. Yeah. Because
then with that, you could also incorporate the speech giving part too, which was, a different aspect to just teaching by itself.
Right.
All right. I have another one. An ambassador.
Oh,
Now that
that'd be a
sounds
cool
dope.
one.
When I imagine
Yep.
ambassadors,
The title alone.
yeah, I mean the title you have like that. What is it like a Is it an armband that they have like you're a captain of a soccer team?
I have no
It's like
idea.
that green armband or something.
It's probably just a badge, probably like a swipe card.
That's even better. A swipe card. That's so boring.
That's probably
Just
what
like-
it is. Though.
Just a key card.
Right. Jared's saying it's an elaborate armband.
What do you well like a
gotta be
foreign
just-
ambassador? Do you
So
have
you're
like those?
thinking like a diplomat / ambassador.
Yes. What's the difference between a diplomat and an ambassador?
I think diplomats work under the ambassador. I mean, the ambassador is
Okay.
also a diplomat, but I think there's different.
And then I
types of
also
diplomats.
imagine. I mean, the theory with the ambassadors and the diplomats is that they're above the law, right?
Well, you have diplomatic immunities.
Yes. See, you know what? I just pulled a foreign ambassador. Let me read this. An ambassador is the ranking government representative stationed in a foreign capital. The host country typically allows the ambassador control of specific territory called an embassy. So that's like the area that's technically, if you're in China at the
soil
U.S.
in
embassy, you're
whatever
technically
country,
in the United States, even though you're in the middle of China.
Right.
Whose territory, staff, and vehicles are generally afforded diplomatic immunity in the host country. So what I imagine...
Here's the question, though. Host country. So does that mean if they break any laws that are breaking American laws, can they get in any trouble?
Well, that's up to the Americans. Would the Americans do anything about it, though?
I don't know, maybe.
I mean, I guess it depends. If you're just killing people in the streets, I would hope someone would do something about it.
I would think so. But you never know.
But that is sort of like the myth about them is like they could kill someone and like if it's it's fine. Right. And also the myth is just that they're driving down the freeway at like 145 miles per hour wherever they're going for no reason. And then also the thing is they get paid a very good salary.
Yep.
And when they're in these embassies, living in these embassies, they don't have to pay for anything. So all the food,
room, board.
their food gets their food gets taken care of.
Yep.
Their housing, obviously, they're not paying for a car; they're just given a car or a driver in some cases, depending on maybe how dangerous it is.
Sure.
And so you're just collecting a paycheck that just goes to your bank account, and you don't have to pay for bills.
Yep.
Theoretically,
Right.
These people
But
probably
a lot
have
of
houses and stuff other
exactly. They have a
places,
house
and
in the States, a
right,
lot of
and they're
them.
paying off debts and bribes and stuff. So.
So the thing about an ambassador or a foreign service officer, Jared, is at least for our American listeners out there, the way that what you would do in order to become this would be you have to take the foreign service exam, which is pretty difficult.
Sure.
Then you have to do an interview process.
With the president?
Not with the president. He's a
Okay.
little busy playing golf.
Yeah, his Twitter.
Tweeting.
He's got tweets to respond to.
Right. Or block, But and so anyways, that's the way you have to do it, though, is you take the Foreign Service exam. You have, I think, one or two, maybe 2 rounds of interviews. Oh, there you go. You got it right there.
Register for the Foreign Service exam, take it, qualify for the evaluation panel, take the oral assessment, clearance, medical security, I'm sure that's where they give you all like the drug test and security clearance and background checks and all that stuff. Suitability review panel. So I guess that's probably a suitability review panel will examine your completed file to determine your suitability. So after you've done all that stuff, then they essentially are considering whether they're going to hire you or not.
Yep.
So you have to do all that just to be considered to get hired.
Correct.
And then once you get hired, you register, obviously.
Yep.
Of course it's going to be hard because it's probably idiots like me hear it and think you're just running around like driving down on a Ferrari going 140, smoking a blunt with a gold-plated AK-47. It's just like you just have like these sort of stupid views of what
a diplomat is.
A diplomat is. You just think they're free and they're just free to do whatever they want in these foreign countries. It's stupid. But anyway, it does still sound, even though obviously there's work involved, it seems like kind of a dangerous job. Obviously, depending on where you are, the more dangerous it is. But also, it does seem like a very tough job in the sense where obviously you kind of do have that ability to drive down the freeway at 140, but you are also, the point of the job is to represent your home country. So it is sort of like,
so don't actually do what Jared was saying.
I mean, they don't need to. No ambassadors listen to this. I can't drive down the freeway at 140. Seems like a very difficult job, and you're always being watched, kind of thing. Do you have any other jobs you could think of?
Oh yeah, I've quite a few. One that's a broad job is any type of freelancer.
Yeah.
I think if you do anything online or any freelance work, in theory, as long as you have stable internet connection, you can do that anywhere.
Yeah. People say that like there are a lot of people, but that almost might be tougher than becoming an ambassador.
And I'm going to be honest, to me that sounds like a whole lot of work.
Like that, do you have to
being a freelancer?
Yeah, I mean, especially if you're like really grinding, like maybe you get to a point like there are good or not good. It's not about good or bad. There are more well-known freelancers that have established outlets that they can rely on at this point.
Sure.
But like that's such a small portion of these people, and now maybe I guess freelance could even now turn into like these YouTube people. Like my girlfriend watches a few different. Like, excuse me, I keep rubbing your leg. Does it make you uncomfortable?
No, it's all good.
My girlfriend watches like a few different like YouTubers that travel for their job, essentially.
Yep.
And
there's quite a few of them on YouTube.
And yeah, but the ones she watches have probably the lowest subscribers is probably like 600,000.
Right.
Like it's like it still takes like a series.
Is that enough to make a living off of YouTube? 600,000
subscribers. Well, I mean, we don't make enough. We don't have enough of anything on YouTube for me to know enough about it. But
that's fair.
It depends on subscribers is the biggest thing, but then views obviously on top of that.
True.
So there are different layers to it. But you and I can make a living and have an apartment like in Metro Detroit probably with 600,000 subscribers. Sure, yeah.
Interesting.
I watch some people that are probably around there that's their main job for like in the car space because that's what I watch.
Right.
Okay.
Now the one last thing though too about freelancing is it seems to me what I've noticed is a lot of people who do freelancing tend to live in countries with a very low cost of living.
Yeah.
So it offsets, if you're a freelancer and you don't have you need some help there.
No.
If you're a freelancer and you don't have a ton of upfront costs, you can do a lot of traveling on the cheap and do pretty well for yourself.
And you can find, especially for our standards, like pretty nice places for pretty cheap if you're in places that are already considered low cost.
$20 a night in Bali.
Oh, right. That's a perfect example.
Bali's a great place. Vietnam.
Yeah.
Is another popular.
$20 a day. That's people spend more than that for food here. Another one I have, working on a cruise ship.
I wouldn't do it.
No, especially not now.
Wouldn't do it. Yep. Wouldn't do it.
Now, cruise ships are always in the news, even not during a virus outbreak.
Right.
Cruise ships are always in the news for some bullshit. It seems like a very soul-sucking life, unless you're the one driving.
Sick.
Unless you're the one driving the thing.
So you would want to be the captain. That's the only way you would travel.
I don't even think I really want that to be my job. To be honest with you,
in-house podcaster.
In-house podcaster. Why would I need to be on a cruise ship then?
Because it's the cruise ship pod. I don't know.
I mean, I guess we could still do it. We could do it live too. Maybe they hire us to do it live, and like we like this episode of Untranslatable Podcast brought to you by Carnival Cruises. Book you and your family on a 4-night getaway to Barbados for starting as low as $1,500. Now, Untranslatables.
Yeah.
Anyway, we're not getting paid, but listen to how good that sounded. It sounds like a very soul-sucking job. The rooms are small.
Yep.
People on cruise ships are unbearable. Cruise ship people suck.
Have you ever actually been on a cruise?
Yeah, I went on a Disney cruise as a kid when I was
not a fan.
It was fine. I'm not good at making friends too, so I'm not great at that stuff. My sister was better at it, but she had like friends within like a day or two, and I was kind of just like, you know me. It's always been the same.
That's fair. That's fair. I liked you as a friend though, Jared, but I feel you.
What do you think of, now this is a little different aspect of, I would say, traveling for a job, but a tour guide.
I met an American in Munich a few summers ago.
That was a tour guide?
And that's what he did for a living. That's how he lived in Munich.
Mm.
So I think if you're in a super cool place, I mean, why not?
Sure.
For a year, 2 years, might be pretty awesome. I'd be okay being like a tour guide in Vienna or something.
Could you get a vibe on how well he was doing? Size him up? Was he wearing a Rolex?
I didn't size him up, but But he did go to a Stammtisch. He had like a...
What's that?
It's like where you always go to drink beer at a really nice brewery right downtown in Munich.
Okay, so he was living a all right lifestyle.
He was doing okay, yeah.
But tour guide, at least to me, unless you're a freelancer, like when I went to Toronto, I had a great tour from this guy that booked. How
much do you think that guy gets paid per tour? Your guy in Toronto.
I'm trying to remember how much we paid. I don't remember because my girlfriend is the one that actually booked it. I'd have to pull it up.
Are you saying you got a sugar mama, Jared?
But let's say we paid him. Yeah. Let's say I wish. Let's say that's what I. Anyway, let's say we paid him $40 to $50.
Okay.
There were 10 of us. Let's say there were 10 of us.
Easy math.
So that's $500. Yeah. 1, 2 plus 2 makes 4. So let's say $500.
Yep.
And that was about 2 hours. And I think he does maybe 3 of those a day.
Yeah, I think you're doing pretty good.
And let's say he does 4 of those a week.
Yeah.
Or 4 days a week, excuse me.
Whew, you're doing
pretty good money. But you have to be consistent.
The tourist season.
Exactly. That's what I say. You have to be consistent with it.
Season, right.
And he's probably he probably, I don't know how, because he did have a normal job before this. Like he talked, clearly he had like a job in an office in a cubicle at some point. And so I don't know how he managed to get to a point where he could make it. Like, obviously I'm sure he has savings too from his previous jobs, but I don't so I don't know the finances of it.
On that job too.
I was like, hey bro, come on, how much you making? But yeah, so it seems like there also is the option to travel, and I guess there really is the option to travel. Say if you're Japanese, Korean, Chinese, or something like that. Maybe there's a big market for you in maybe Paris or Rome or maybe some giant tourist attraction or Los Angeles, New York, because they need speakers of popular languages that are like popular tourists coming in.
Oh, definitely.
So maybe it is easier for them to fly in good English speakers from China, for example, rather than trying to find those people there for if it's a company from that country or something. I have a couple more.
Let's hear them.
Au pair. Do you know what an au pair is? Hey, don't look at my list.
I do. I've been peeping.
Don't look.
For a while. Yeah, an au pair is just like a live-in babysitter.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. I don't really like the idea of babysitting kids or being responsible for kids.
I can't picture you or me really doing that job.
I've had an au pair before as a kid.
That doesn't surprise me.
Yeah. Okay.
That doesn't surprise me.
Well, I have, and it was nice.
Where was your?
What are you trying to say? Excuse me.
Where was your au pair from?
I've had a couple, all right, and mostly South Africa.
Oh, cool.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
I had 2 from South Africa, and they were and one of them, or 2 of them actually, both of them, like I think left the au pair program and just like kind of stayed with us and used us as sort of their way to stay in the U.S. But then so, and that was cool. And if you are good with kids, and it seems like they probably take more women than men.
Yep.
Probably just for the nature of bringing you a stranger adult into your home.
Yeah.
Statistically speaking, you're safer off bringing a woman than a man into your home.
100%. 100%.
So if you're good with kids and you know that it seems like a legitimate good way to like get yourself and a few of the au pairs that I knew, not only the ones that I had, but there were groups, so they knew each other and in the community. A few of them used it as ways to also get college educations too.
Yeah, sure.
So like both of the ones that I'm talking about were taking classes at a community college during the day, like while I was at school.
Oh, nice.
They had free time
That's
and
smart.
stuff.
That's really smart.
I have a couple more.
Good.
Sugar baby. How do you feel about being a sugar baby?
Why not? Sure. Sugar baby, for those non-native English speaker listeners out there, would be someone who has a sugar mama or sugar daddy to take care of them, aka pay for all of their stuff and spoil them.
Yeah,
and all of those great things. I'd be cool with it.
It's a great way to travel. It's also a great way to. I'm just gonna scroll through these and let me know if any catch your attention.
Teaching English online. So the funny thing is, Jared,
I didn't even plan that.
I've been looking
what
for.
Came up.
online English teaching jobs. We'll do an episode about that at some point too.
I'm sure we will, Chad.
Yes.
When you end up in Thailand, finally we'll get to talk about
it. But I made sure, Jared, to make it a point when I was applying for places. There were a few that I applied to, and I was not aware at the time that they only allow their employees to be inside the U.S. To teach online. So you have to be careful when you apply for English teaching companies online, because some of them only will allow you to be inside the U.S. while you teach. Others, as long as you...
What difference does it make?
I'm not sure. There's probably some law or
like tax-related things, probably.
Yeah. Whereas, if you're outside of the U.S., they probably have to distribute the funds differently, I would imagine.
That makes... Okay. If I think... Yeah, that kind of makes sense.
But online English teaching is good. I would say, too, is look into other types of online teaching. I think a lot of people only consider language teaching, which, yes, there's a large market for it. But there's all sorts of other, online teaching gigs that you can probably do. If you have any skill that's marketable, you could easily do that. And there are a lot of websites like Skillshare and Udemy where you can upload your own classes and you get paid there. So, and you can do that while traveling as well.
Bartending, I guess, you can do that anywhere, but that's also tough to make like a sustainable thing.
Well, and I think depending on the job too, you have to be careful of what the work visa and all the different visa requirements are of different places. That's the nice thing about being a digital freelancer, is you don't need a work visa, I don't think. I'm not a lawyer here, people, but I'm pretty sure you don't need any type of work visa if you are doing online freelance work.
Okay.
Massage therapist, nope, couldn't do it.
Oh, you definitely cannot design a website.
Nope.
I've seen you behind a computer. We mentioned nothing to do with working on a cruise ship. I don't want to be on water for my job.
The funny thing
I want to be on land, solid land.
The funny thing is before I started grad school, I actually thought about maybe auditioning for a couple jazz bands on a few different cruise ships and playing guitar on a cruise ship. Fun fact.
Wow.
Yep.
I feel like that would drive you crazy. It would be fun for the first leg.
Yep, I think the first one would be okay.
Get some free shrimp. You're like, all right, I've had enough shrimp.
Right.
For a lifetime, and I want to punch a tourist in the face. I mean, a lot of it is like just freelance stuff,
Yeah,
and I think
the big one.
If you like au pairs there too. Oh, flight attendant. How do we not think of flight attendant?
That's a big one.
Would you be a flight attendant? Could you see yourself as a flight attendant?
I think so. I think I'd actually be a decent flight attendant. I think.
I could see that. I don't think I could. I'm not a patient person.
You'd wear your headphones the whole time you're working as a flight attendant. People would be like, "Sir?"
Yeah.
"Sir," and you'd be like pointing at your headphones.
Yeah. Sometimes I see like dudes like flirting with the flight attendants on the airplane too, like in the first class.
That's not you.
I'm not in first class.
That's
I just peek. But like, and you see them like talking like the whole time or standing up there. Have you seen the people that stand up like in the sort of the flight attendant area?
While they're trying to flirt with the flight attendants, or just
no? Yeah, I'm saying like a passenger will be sitting there talking to the person. I was like, I don't know what's happening in this conversation, but there's like a 90% chance that this person's perfectly okay with this conversation not happening.
Another big one too, Jared, is I had it and I lost it. Can you scroll up?
Did you get it from my list?
One of the ones.
Travel agent.
Okay, wait.
Foreign service.
When I saw foreign service, it made. Hold up. Oh, nope. Leave it there. Give me a minute here. I'm trying to think. Oh yeah, volunteer. Another big way to travel.
It's a great way to make money.
Not really a good way to make money, but a good way to travel.
Yeah.
I actually thought about there's a program in Spain and in France, and I was actually thinking about applying. I'm not going to now, but I was thinking of applying to it when I got back here because you can go there for I think it's like 3 weeks or 6 weeks depending, and you have to pay for your flight, but they pay for your food and room and board.
Well, that's not bad. Yeah, that's not bad. And then you're what's the volunteer act that you're doing?
That one's an English teaching one, but there are all sorts of different volunteer opportunities.
To like underprivileged whatever's what some that was a bad way to put it.
That was a very bad way to put it.
But I mean like I mean whatever's, but like some sort of underprivileged group.
Probably, I would assume so. Yeah.
The reason I said whatever is because I almost said community, then I almost said group, and I just stumbled over my words.
Community.
I'm sorry to all the underprivileged whatevers out there. So yeah, musician. There you go. Street performer. I
That's tough.
wouldn't rely on that
That's
for a
tough.
job. List your place on Airbnb if you have a place. If you already own a place, I guess that might be a good way to leave your place and have steady income.
Oh, absolutely.
That looks like one of my friends.
Seasonal travel. Yeah, seasonal travel jobs too.
Internet poker, gambling, or
not super sustainable.
stock market.
Hey,
Stock market could be.
Peace Corps, NGO.
That's almost volunteering, like because you don't make that much money at all. So yeah, that's all. That's all I got.
Mostly freelance.
And then
stuff.
vlogging, YouTubing. That's really probably the biggest. That deserves us talking about. We should actually do an episode about that.
Sure.
I mean,
it'd be nice to get on some actual travel bloggers.
From what I've, that's a good idea. From what I've heard, like I hear like on podcasts and stuff, people that are parents. One of the most popular jobs they hear kids talking about that they want to do is be a YouTuber. Yeah,
doesn't surprise me.
I mean, I get it. They have so much fun. They make what seems like a lot of money. I mean, like the popular ones do. Right. Josh Peck from Drake and Josh, the one that started off as the quote unquote chubby one, but he's no longer. He's slimmed down.
Anyways,
he's a YouTuber now.
Is he?
And he's got a pretty big channel.
Nice.
And he's hanging out with all the popular YouTubers.
Nice.
So like that is like the new lane, and it's really taking over TV, just that entire lane. And so it allows you, whether you're a traveler or not, it allows you to work on your own schedule and wherever you want. And we'd be lying to you if we said we didn't have some similar thoughts on this podcast one day in the far future.
That'd be great. Absolutely.
To disconnect from all these corporate people telling us what to do, and we tell ourselves what to do. Actually, what it would probably just turn into is me telling Chad what to do. But I'm ready for that. I'm ready for that responsibility.
Speaking of YouTube, though, Jared, you know what else you can find on YouTube?
Some great music, Chad. That's what you can find on YouTube.
You betcha.
And today our song is called Santiago by, I believe it's Newen Afrobeats.
Mm-hmm.
And it is a quite a jam.
It's a slow burn.
Starts out with, it's a 12-minute song, I believe.
It's a 13-minute song. Oh, you've played me this song. Obviously, I listened to it. When I see it, I know this group. Yes.
Okay.
It's a group of like a solid 12, 13 people.
I think so, yeah.
And so it's not even, you probably can't even really pinpoint where they started in Chile apparently. Mm-hmm. But it's probably a multicultural national group in itself.
Oh, definitely.
So yeah, they're just like a sort of a multinational cultural jam band, I would say.
Yeah, and the song is 12 minutes long, or 13.
13, yeah.
It's great.
Chad was playing it for me, and I was like, oh, okay. So I've been listening to the same, I don't know, like a maraca for the past 2 minutes. What else is coming in this song?
But then it keeps growing and growing and growing.
It does.
It's really a great song.
I was just being impatient. That's all it really was.
You definitely can't be impatient with this song.
No.
You got to sit back, enjoy it, make some space so you can dance. I feel like it's got some good beats.
Yeah, did you find yourself dancing here in Azul Moose Studios by yourself?
Oh, you better believe it.
Yeah, you liar.
Better believe it. I mean, does bobbing your head while you're playing FIFA count? Because if
I would say so.
I was definitely getting my groove.
I would say so. Yeah, I think that counts. I like the song, and we should jam out to it after. But yeah, I liked it. Chad. No longer coming with the Italian words of the pod, no matter what happens.
Why is that, Jared?
No matter what happens with my European trip that I'm looking forward to, doesn't seem like Italy's on the charts. They've been having some serious issues with coronavirus there. Also, the Geneva Auto Show, one of the bigger, I'm not gonna say the biggest, one of the bigger European auto shows, canceled.
Oh wow!
Because Geneva's close to Milan, Venice area, which is like
Geneva,
North Italy, and that's where the sort of the epicenter of coronavirus in Europe is right now. And so I believe Geneva has some sort of, or that area of Switzerland in general has some sort of rules in place for now, saying that you can't have gatherings bigger than a certain size.
Right.
And so
better safe than sorry.
Yeah, but have you seen what's been happening to the stock market?
Oh yeah, it's
anyway
been hit hard.
So my parents, right before we started recording this episode, my parents called. How rude! And I was telling them how I'm a little nervous for our European trip. They had no sort of concern about, like, they're like, oh yeah, no, you can't go to Italy. But they're also going to Paris at the end of May. Luckily, not at the same time as us. And they had no concern whatsoever about their trip. It didn't seem like it in the couple of minutes I talked to them. They're like, oh yeah, no, we'll give you some recommendations on some good places to go. No, you can't go to Italy anymore. But yeah, for sure, you'll be fine. You'll be fine. So I think I'll be fine.
France isn't that far from Italy, though.
Well, that's true. And that leads us to my French phrase of the pod, because I still have a French phrase of the pod, but I'm still a little nervous. S'il vous plaît, ne pas éternuer dans ma soupe.
Something about a soup?
Yeah, let me give it to you one more time. I sounded like Keenan from All That when he used to, remember that? When he was in the bathtub. That means don't. Anyway, s'il vous plaît, ne pas éternuer dans ma soupe. Please don't sneeze in my soup.
Oh, that's a good phrase to have.
Mm-hmm.
For sure.
Mm-hmm.
You need to learn how to like just be like, don't sneeze in my soup.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I need to speed it up a little bit. I realized that. By the time I said it, they could have knocked off 4 sneezes.
2 or 3 times, in your soup, for sure.
Ah, shit.
For sure.
Still good, though. These French, they know how to make a soup. So, yeah, I still am very prepared to go to Europe. I still plan on it, but hey, you got to be precautious.
Yep.
Take your proper precautions.
Definitely.
Please don't sneeze in my soup.
That's fair. I don't blame you, Jared. So just to recap today's episode, I think that the major trend right now with traveling and working abroad is definitely freelancing.
Mm-hmm. Well, also, the side hustle is big these days,
That's
too.
true.
And so not even less having one job where you go to your office every day, more having 2 or 3 gigs. Maybe one gig goes in, another gig comes out,
Right.
like sort of rotating gigs, the gig economy.
Yep. That's what they say.
That didn't come from nowhere.
Some buzzwords right there.
I made that up myself, everyone. The gig economy.
But
I'm going to trademark that.
Yeah, I think freelancing is a good one. Teaching can also be a good one.
Sure.
I would highly recommend it.
It's worked for you so far.
Yep, I've really enjoyed it. Hopefully come August or September, I'll be teaching elsewhere. Still haven't gotten the news yet, so no reveals. So be patient, people. But it's for good reason. But yeah, teaching abroad is another good one. Let's see here.
Au pair,
teaching,
if you're okay with kids.
Yep.
Air marshal, apparently air marshals have some of the highest gun proficiency out of all
So make sure you're a good shot.
I mean, you're on an airplane.
Right.
Talk about a crucial shot.
No kidding. Yeah. Also, a tour guide as well would be a good one.
You better mean it.
Right. There are a lot of really good
ambassador
options.
If you're a good test taker.
True. And a good people person.
And if you're good at driving fast where you're not supposed to be.
But yeah, so check those out. If there are any jobs that you know of that are useful for travel, please let us know at untranslatablepodcast@gmail.com. If you want to check out our pictures of me working abroad as a teacher, check out our Instagram, Untranslatable Podcast. Also our Twitter, Untranslatable1, the number 1. Slide into Jared's DMs. And he'll send you a nice little roast message. No, I don't know what he'll do. But anyways, check out our Twitter. And lastly, please 5-star reviews on iTunes and Stitcher. Let us know how we can make this podcast better for you. So as we say here at the Untranslatable Podcast, Dziękujemy, muchas gracias, and 谢谢.